right, 8 minutes after 11 o'clock. Remember the song Love is Strange?
Yes.
Right? Love is strange. In my life and in many people's lives, we've all had relationships with somebody, romantic relationships that ended. And just by saying that, you probably have some recollection of those ended relationships. Maybe it ended in anger, it ended in sadness, and I mean ended in a voluntary way. As far as nobody died. It's just the people decided to go separate ways. And so in my life, when I've had that, I don't want to get too much into my own personal ones, but I can remember none of them felt good. They all felt horrible.
Yes, very horrible.
And yet, I had relationships as a musician with other musicians, male and female. And in fact, I was half of a duo with a lady. When we went separate ways, it was no big deal. It was no big deal. I had a long-term, I hate to say relationship, but I did. I mean, I was a duo with another guy. We played all over the East Coast. Mm-hmm. When it ended, it ended. It was no big deal.
Yeah.
But there's something about the romantic part of it that makes it harder to go your separate ways. Katherine Woodward Thomas is on the phone. She is a licensed psychotherapist. She's the co-creator of The Calling in the One online courses. We'll find out what that is. She's the co-founder of the Feminine Power Global Community.
Yes.
I want to be part of that. I'll just pretend. She's featured in the New York Times, the London Times, Time Magazine, People Magazine, the Washington Post, Women's Health, the Wall Street Journal, and many others. She's a best-selling author. And when Joe Reichel was just here, he even had recognized her book. It's called Conscious Uncoupling, 5 Steps to Live Happily Even After. How to Break Up in a Whole New Way. Katherine Woodward Thomas. Good morning, Katherine.
Good morning, Larry. Great to be here with you.
Where are you? Where are you calling from?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, wow.
You got a sexy voice. I think I'm falling ill right now.
Voice. That's why you're getting the morning voice.
Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. Oh, and you're beautiful. I'm looking at your picture, too. Okay.
Thank you.
So I'm just going to uncouple right now and start heading west. Well, thank you for being on. This is an interesting topic because you make so much sense, and yet is it easier to say is it easier to say that you can uncouple and not be unhappy than it is to actually is it easier said than done? Maybe that's the way I want to ask that.
Well, so let me just clarify. So I think there's always going to be a grieving process. So I'm not superficial about the depth of our connections, and it will always hurt to lose someone that we love. So that's what I call affective suffering, is you can use that suffering to grow and to learn, and, it's the normal cycle of grief. But then there's also the ineffective suffering, which is the stewing in festering resentments or having, hateful conversations in your mind for months on end after you haven't even seen the person. There's the reduced self-esteem and the self-hatred and the self-blame and all of those things that go on, and conscious uncoupling addresses those, right? So it makes for, let's call it a healthy grieving process, and let's also say that it will leave a person more ready to love and be loved on the other side of heartbreak, where very often when we have a heartbreak, it can contract us for years. So that, sometimes people go into a shell. They don't really open up to love again. They don't ever want to risk heartache again. So it can actually lead to living a lesser life in
really?
The aftermath of that breakup.
We've had so many authors on who talked about how to deal with grief after the death of a loved one. And it doesn't have to be a romantic partnership. It could be a child or a parent or anybody who dies that we loved. Right. And their advice is somewhat similar in that there's a way to take that grief and make it positive.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's definitely not an easy thing to do. But, I liken a broken heart to a broken leg. Nobody wants to break their leg. But if you break your leg, you understand that you have to put it in traction and you have to go to physical therapy, and it's going to take a little bit of time but not just time, it's going to take effort. And I think a broken heart is that way too. And very often we just say, well, time will pass and I'll get over it. But I liken, I say that, we'd never let our broken leg just heal of its own accord. And we don't want to let our heart just heal of its own accord. We have to actually do some tending to our heart in a particular way. Otherwise, the heart's going to grow a little too closed and a little too easily bruised moving forward, because that's kind of the heart's equivalent of walking with a limp for the rest of your life.
I'm wondering. I'm going to tell you something that's personal for myself, and I'm hoping that other people relate to it. I'm divorced.
Yeah.
And my wife and I have a son. So whenever there's an event with my son, we're together. I'm with her, including when he got married. Then I was there, of course. But everything's okay now. This was a long time ago. But shortly after the divorce, I had to show up at Thanksgivings and things like that. And I used to take the attitude, I will fake it until I make it. You've heard that cliche before. But I didn't know that faking it was going to help me make it. Was that a bad idea? Could I have done a better job at getting over it than faking it until? Because in other words, I'm faking it. I'm there and I'm pretending I'm having a good time. But the truth is, I couldn't wait to get out of there.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, yeah. I just appreciate that you did that for your child. That's so noble, actually. It's noble. And how long did it take you to kind of get okay with it?
Gosh, if I'm going to try to guess, maybe 5 years. But let me just
that denial time
let me just say this too: that while you just complimented me, I think the compliment goes to my ex-wife as well, because I'm guessing it was noble for her too to be in the same room with me. I'm sure that it was two-sided.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think look, none of us want to mess up our kids, so we're willing to go the extra mile. And a lot of us who are kind of leading this new divorce crusade that's happening right now, because this is an idea whose time has come. It's kind of popping up in multiple ways, and a lot of us had parents who divorced badly, and so we understood what that felt like as a child. And so when my husband and I decided to end our marriage after 10 years, that was obviously our first concern. And we made a decision that we were going to do this really, really well. Now, there's what you did, I'd call an amicable divorce, right? So you really stretched yourself to be pleasant and to be cooperative with each other. Conscious uncoupling is a little unique from amicable divorce in that it's literally 5 steps to how to deal with the internal emotions, the impulse to lash out or to get angry, or even the kind of festering rage and hatred, and that's those wild feelings that are so atypical for who we normally are.
Mm-hmm.
And it also talks about how to deal with the sense of victimization and how to recreate your life and to be even more beautiful than before. I mean, it kind of touches on the whole inner landscape, and then it also talks about how to clear the air of festering resentments with your former partner and how to set things up for everyone to win moving forward. So it kind of lays out like a blueprint.
But that's always, there's always, in most cases, one of the partners wants to end it, and then all of a sudden they say they're leaving, or they actually leave, and then it hits the other partner that doesn't want the divorce between the eyes, and they're the ones that really have to adjust during the holidays and things like that, because the person that wants to leave, it just seems like they're very cold-hearted, and they just want to move on with their life, and they don't really care about the feelings of the person they're leaving or about the children.
Right, so their biggest struggle is feeling guilty, right?
I don't think they do. If they're the ones that leave, in my opinion, I don't think they feel guilty.
There's definitely a different path between the person who's leaving and the person who is left, because the person who's leaving, it's not just that they've been kind of grieving beforehand, that maybe they've been grieving the loss of the connection for months or for years before they finally announce it. It's that they've actually been building a life and an identity outside of the relationship. And part of why we get so shattered is because our whole identity is tied into the relationship. So if you didn't see it coming, or you somehow were minimizing the threats that were coming your way, or you were just, thinking it was going to all work out, and you were kind of taken by surprise, what it does is not only shatters your heart, it shatters your whole sense of self and your whole life and everything you can count on. So that's why breakups are so hard. They're actually one of the most traumatic, or can be one of the most traumatic things that any of us will ever have to go through.
And let me take a little break right now. I want to make sure we get into some of the things in the book, especially the 5 points. That
it's well written.
Whoever is relating to this, the next part is what you really want to hear, the 5 points, because it'll help you. It's kind of like getting some instructions on how to extract your own tooth. It'll be a little less painful.
Yeah. Smack it with a hammer and pull it out with a pliers.
Katherine Woodward Thomas is on the phone. We'll take a little break. Her book is called Conscious, Uncoupling, 5 Steps to Living Happily Even After Divorce. We'll take a little break and be right back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. For today, clouds and breaks of sun, warm but humid with a couple of showers and a heavy thunderstorm or two. Watch for flooding downpours, the high 84 to 88. Partly to mostly cloudy tonight with a shower or thunderstorm in the area near the coast early on, below 72 to 76. Tomorrow, times of clouds and sun with an afternoon shower or thunderstorm, the high 86 to 90. Thursday, mostly cloudy with a shower or thunderstorm, high 86 to 90. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
Want to learn more about your furnace or air conditioner? Tune in this Saturday for free tips and expert advice on how to get the most out of your heating and air conditioning system. Or get a free AC rejuvenation by being the first person to go to cleanmyac.com. That's cleanmyac.com. Saturday, free tips and expert advice how to get the most out of your heating and air conditioning system. Or get a free AC rejuvenation by being the first person to go to cleanmyac.com. That's cleanmyac.com.
This is James Snyder, inviting you to join me each Sunday morning at 9:30 for Sunday Joy on 1370 AM, 96.3 FM.
One of the most common questions those nearing retirement are asking, will I outlive my money? Retirement questions like these and many more will be answered every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. on Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement with hosts Francois and Julian Pozenet. Francois and Julian will help you put your retirement puzzle together. Catch Planning for a Better and Safer Retirement Saturdays at 9 a.m. on Ocala's News Talk, The Source 96.3 FM and 1370 AM.
20 minutes after 11 o'clock, it's raining out there. And, when it's raining, you're talking about divorce, it kind of goes together. It doesn't go hand in hand. Conscious Uncoupling is the name of the book that Katherine Woodward Thomas has written. She is the nationally best-selling author of Calling in the One. Katherine, can I ask you real quickly, what is the Calling in the One? What is that?
Well, Calling in the One is about finding love. And it's about preparing yourself internally to have a relationship. So it's about, looking at, it's really for people who've struggled to get into relationships and really, want to have a breakthrough in their love life. And so it lays out a 49-day daily self-reflection plan to clear away the inner obstacles to love and really become ready and available and magnetic to calling in that life partner. So the reason really why I wrote Conscious Uncoupling is because, I am a licensed therapist and I also teach these online learning communities. So I had an opportunity to work with literally thousands of people and get into the center of their love lives, basically. And I just saw that one of the biggest obstacles to love and to being happy in love was that someone had a broken heart in their past that never really healed properly, and that they were still reticent. So and when I got divorced after 10 years of marriage, my former husband and I did that so well that afterwards I thought, okay, I need to teach people how to do this so that on the other side of a breakup, they're more ready to love and be loved than they ever have been before, because they learned so much and they grew so much and they forgave so much and all of that. So that's where the book came from, really.
If divorce happens because let's just say the husband was cheating, Just put it that way, because that's a common one, right?
Yeah.
Is there a way to... See, I don't... when you hear stories like this, I often think that, okay, the woman says, okay, I'm forgiving him. The David Letterman story is a good one. Mm-hmm. David Letterman was a public one, so we can talk about it. He was fooling around. He came right out and said, look, I was fooling around. I think Barbara Walters or somebody asked him, how did his wife take it? And she had to forgive him. And I thought, well, gosh, is their marriage ever the same? Even though he's being upfront and honest and he's recognizing his own failure, mm-hmm. Does he become a better husband because of that? Or does their marriage become any stronger? Or should they, I mean, I'm not going to ask you if they should divorce, but I mean...
Well, I mean, look, infidelity is going to be always one of the hardest things. It's going to just be devastating no matter how you do it. And I think, at that moment you choose between devastations. The infidelity is already devastating. And somehow their friendship is deep enough, and even my guess is that she could even be responsible for certain ways she was being in the marriage that was maybe pushing him away, or turning away from him, or not available to him in some way. Like, that's the way that someone can live with that, is if you both start to look more holistically at what happened, and then you decide to build from there. But it's never going to be the same. It's going to be a different kind of connection, because it will change both people.
Because I could imagine putting myself in David Letterman's shoes. I could imagine doing something like that. I mean, I'm not unhuman, so that could happen. I could imagine regretting it the rest of my life, especially if it ended up in divorce. And then from that point on, you would never want to ever engage in that mistake again. But at the same time, how do you go to your other book and get the one again? How do you get the second one?
Yes, right.
I think every way that we hurt each other, every betrayal, every selfish act like that, really what needs to happen to make it right again is an amends of equal caliber, of equal weight. And this is where people don't know how to repair damage done between two people. And I talk about it in Conscious Uncoupling. A lot of times, we think an apology should be enough, like, I've already apologized, get over it. Or we think an explanation is enough, where we'll say, well, look, my father cheated on my mother, and it's just kind of in my DNA, and I'm just kind of like that. It's in my astrological chart to be this way, and we over-explain why we are the way that we are. But that doesn't repair anything either. The only thing that's ever going to repair something is to acknowledge the horror of the impact that our behavior has caused on another, and to really let them see that we get it and we are letting ourselves be touched by it, and then to offer to make an amends. Well, let me see if I can make this up to you. And when it comes to something like infidelity, you're going to be making that up for many years to come, but not like you're in the doghouse forever. But the first thing you're going to do is you're going to say, I promise you will never, ever, if you stay with me, you will never have to worry about me again behaving this way. And in fact, I am not even going to, run flirtatious energy anymore at the parties. Like, you've always hated that I do that. You're absolutely right. That was wrong of me. I'm not even going to flirt with other women, and I'm going to be, I need to prove this to you, but that's the amends I'm going to make to you, is that you are front and center all the time. So that would be a pretty big, great amends to make, as long as he really efforted doing that. That's going to go a long way to repairing the relationship. But there has to be an amends, and there has to be also a willingness to be touched by the impact that our behavior was on another. I see I devastated you. I see I mocked our life together. I see that I hurt you in the same way that your father hurt your mother, and so it went right to the core. Mm-hmm. I made you unsafe in the world. You really have to get what you've done to another person. So that's actually, and interestingly enough, I help people to learn how to do that in Conscious Uncoupling, because particularly if you have children or you have a shared community and you're going to see that person there, you want to have a clear field. You don't want to have tension and hostilities simmering in the background.
Absolutely, right.
Right. So that's what it takes to actually clear the air.
You're a smart lady. The book is called Conscious Uncoupling, 5 Steps to Living Happily Even After. How to Break Up in a Whole New Way. Katherine Woodward Thomas is the author, and I have a copy of the book. Call me if you want it. The rest of us have to go buy it. Katherine, do you have a website for yourself or for the book?
Yes, it's ConsciousUncoupling.com, and the book is available in booksellers everywhere, so you can just hop online and purchase a copy.
All right, easy enough. ConsciousUncoupling.com. By the way, I just figured out who you look like. You look like my phlebotomist.
Ooh.
You're a phlebotomist.
You look like the lady who draws my blood.
Every,
my God.
every 8 weeks now, he's going to be looking at her differently.
Oh, my gosh.
And I uncouple from her every 8 weeks. That's right. I go there. She takes my blood, and I say, "See you in 8 weeks."
Wow.
Are you in the West Coast? Did you say you're in?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, in LA. Okay. Well, thank you for being on the air with us. Did we wake you up?
You know what?
I think we did. Yeah.
And you've been so
but
honest.
I did okay.
You did
without
great.
my morning coffee, right?
Well, you've been so honest in both your book and in real life on the air that people can really trust you when they read your words.
Thank you so much.
And real quickly, I know a couple who got divorced and they're still best of friends. In fact, she still takes him to the doctor, and every once in a while the doctor will say something about their sex life, and she goes, "I haven't had sex with him in 12 years or whatever it's been." So, Katherine, thank you. Thank you for being on the air with us. That was a great interview.
Thank you. Take care.
We'll be right back.